What a beautiful group of Jehovah's precious servants. Maybe we'll coin a new expression today, gray beards of righteousness.
I'm dead inside.
Welcome, boys and girls, to my rebuttal of the 2024 Watchtower Annual Meeting. This is an event hosted every year by the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, basically a shareholder meeting meant to provide update software to the religion. In last year's annual meeting, the governing body dropped a lot of new light that changed the religion forever, like the removal of ministry hours and the adjustment of their Armageddon timetable. So today, I have scored through 3 hours of propaganda to bring you only the most fascinating bits, which I believe provide an insight on the pitiful state of this religion. Yeah, it's about to get culty. You know, as always, we're doing the cringe challenge, so if you cringe, you lose, and when you cringe, let me know the exact moment you lost it. Are you ready? Let's get into it.
Wow, what a tremendous start to the day. We're in eager anticipation of the things to follow. That was an appetizer of the many good things Jehovah has in store for you today.
Oh, dude, just get on with it.
Psalm 133, verses 1 and 2 says, "Look, how good and how pleasant it is for brothers to dwell together in unity. It's like fine oil poured on the head that runs down the beard, Aaron's beard." Not only are we gathered at 23 Unity Place here in Newburgh, but many in the audience can now relate to what it's like to have oil run down the beard.
I'm warning you, there's a lot of beard jokes in this program, as if these guys weren't the reason beards were banned in the first place.
And in other news, there's a new product in the Bethel Commissary, beard butter. Not to be confused with the butter that you spread on your toast.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Now, after what seemed like an eternity of terrible jokes, we finally get to the first speaker, the living zombie, Garrett Lush, who brings a hilariously big mirror to use as a prop. Well, he doesn't bring it himself, of course, because he has one of his subordinates carry it for him. You're never gonna catch the governing body performing physical labor, are you? And what's the point of the giant mirror, you may ask? Well, it's to teach that all of us are a reflection of Jehovah's glory. Elders, pioneers, even children, which is rich because this organization does a piss-poor job at protecting children.
As you can see, this is a mirror that reflects Jehovah's glory.
I'm surprised the poor mirror didn't shatter on sight. There's nothing interesting in this talk, really. Garrett Lush is like the most boring speaker of the governing body, maybe second only to Kenneth Cook, and I think they put him first just to get it over with. I mean, they do have a dozen governing body helpers that are much more talented speakers, but they rather put this expired strudel in front of the camera, only because he's the most senior governing body member.
Appreciate your privilege to glorify Jehovah God. Help young ones to take on privileges of service. We trust you will, and we wish you Jehovah's rich blessing in this endeavor. So keep polishing, keep reflecting the light.
There's a lot of clapping in this as well, for the silliest of reasons. Next, we get Jeffrey Winder, who hasn't jumped into the beard bandwagon yet, to try to motivate the young ones to offer themselves as volunteers, in what comes off as a very desperate plea for help.
Jehovah is accomplishing a tremendous work worldwide, and all in connection with the kingdom preaching work. And in the face of satanic attack and the wickedness of the last days, what Jehovah is accomplishing truly glorifies his name. But because so much work is being done, there is a need for more workers to keep up with this work. And in this talk, we're specifically going to talk about the needs at Bethel and in theocratic construction. Well, what is the need? In Bethel, we have a constant need for spiritually qualified men and women who can help carry the load of the ever-increasing and complex work. And there is a particular need for young brothers who can apply to come to Bethel and be trained and in time qualified to serve as overseers or to take the lead in departments such as the service department or public information department, hospital information department, and many others. We need brothers who can in time qualify to serve on branch committees. And even in branches where the Bethel family is small, we need young brothers to apply. Because the brothers and sisters who have been carrying the load for years, we love them, but they're getting older. And they have a zeal for the work, but they recognize the need to train others so that Jehovah's work can continue.
In other words, young ones, please come serve at Bethel for free because the volunteers we have are getting older and will eventually pass away. There's no need for you to go to college. Nah, we're gonna give you all the training you need so you can organize our ever-increasing operations. Well, Jeff, where do I sign up? Then he goes on to quote the urgent need for kingdom halls in the Congo and Zambia and Mozambique. Of course, there's no mention of using any funds to feed the hungry or house the needy. Nope. All this guy worries about is getting enough volunteers to go build his real estate empire for him. Just like Jesus would have wanted.
Is there a need? Absolutely. Young ones, especially you young ones in your teens, thinking about how you will use your life, can you get involved in the Bethel work and theocratic construction work? Should you? If you do, what will your life be like? Would you live to regret it?
Then Jeff plays a video of a few volunteers who are currently serving at different Bethels around the world, saying that they don't regret their choices. And to that I say, well, we should totally check back on them a few decades from now, when they're old, without having saved up a single penny, and let's see if they still have no regrets.
Be constantly active in serving Jehovah. Sometimes it may seem that it's not much fun. Perhaps it may seem boring, but actually, serving Jehovah brings so much joy and many blessings.
My dude didn't even smile once.
Well, these friends are serving all over the globe, aren't they? Some in their home branch territories, others in foreign assignments. But how did they describe their life? Was it drudgery and sacrifice and regret? No. Each one of them, in one way or another, said it is the best way of life that they could live.
Well, of course they said that, Jeff. It's a curated interview. There's only room for positive experiences in this propaganda.
Well, young brothers and sisters, we want you to be able to get involved in this exciting work as early as possible. And so, I have an exciting announcement to read.
Oh boy.
It reads this way. We are pleased to inform you that the governing body has decided to reduce the minimum age requirement to enter Bethel service or to assist with theocratic construction projects from 19 to 18 years of age. Why the change? Here are 3 reasons based on Bible principles. Reason number 1, Jehovah is blessing his people with growth.
What? If Jehovah was really blessing this religion with growth, why would he need to feel the need to lower the minimum age requirement for Bethel? Dude, then Jeff just pulls out 2 other Bible verses out of his ass to justify the change he and his buddies just implemented. Hey, gotta give it to them. The governing body is super talented in their ability to use any Bible verse to justify their policy changes. It's like a developer update.
So, young ones, we encourage you to prayerfully consider whether you can make yourself available to enjoy this special privilege of service.
Ooh, okay, Jeff, let me see if I'm available. Nah, I'm gonna be too busy not being taken advantage of. Thank you very much.
We know that you parents, you love your children and you want the very best future possible for your young ones. And so we encourage you, set goals of full-time service in front of your children and help them to achieve these goals. And will you miss them if they should be called to Bethel or they go off on a Kingdom Hall assignment somewhere? Of course you will. But don't hold them back and insist that they stay home with you for fear of missing them. You may be depriving them of the most fulfilling life.
None of the governing body members have children, by the way, and it shows. This dude doesn't give a fuck about the feelings of the parents. All he wants is little robots that will work on his real estate projects.
In Bethel, we have a constant need for spiritually qualified men and women, and there is a particular need for young brothers. We need young brothers.
Now we get Mark Sanderson, Porky Pig Santa Claus fusion, to encourage the young ones to volunteer as missionaries on the field.
It was 140 years ago, in 1884, when Zion's Watchtower Tract Society was legally incorporated. Now, I know there are many gray beards here, but I understand that none of you were present on that occasion.
Ugh, this is like the fourth beard joke.
When you think of a missionary, perhaps you think of someone older who has been preaching for many years. But of course, many were very young when they started. In fact, in the mid to late 1940s, 30% of the missionaries sent from Gilead were under 24 years of age. They were young, energetic, full of life, willing to accept assignments around the world, and they accomplished incredible things.
Yeah, because they were preaching to an audience that was much more religious and that didn't have access to the internet. Of course they were going to be successful. Also, most of these people passed away without seeing the fulfillment of the prophecies they were sharing. So there's that.
We see tremendous growth and potential for more growth around the world.
Okay, guys, so guess what Mark Sanderson does next? Come on, guess. Yep, he cherry picks ministry statistics from a few African countries and the Philippines.
Mozambique, Angola, the Congo branch, Philippines to Madagascar.
You like to move it. She like to move it. He like to move it.
We need young people who want to go and make disciples of people of all the nations. Well, how old do you need to be to apply for the School for Kingdom Evangelizers? Well, we're very pleased to announce today that the governing body has decided that young brothers and sisters 21 years of age or older may now apply to attend SKE. Isn't that exciting and wonderful?
No, dude. It reeks of desperation. What next? Will teenagers be able to serve as elders? Will you institute child baptism? You might as well, the way things are heading.
Brothers and sisters, the work is not over yet. Do you agree?
And the sheep clapped and got back to plow the fields. Unbeknownst to them, the work will never be over.
What a thrilling symposium. We're delighted to have 2 new members of the governing body.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, we do have 2 new governing body members, Jacob Rump and Jody DeLele, raising the number up to 11. If they hadn't got rid of Uncle Tony, we could have had 12 apostles by now. Some governing body members like Let and Lush are probably on their last leg. And Samuel Hurd as well, he didn't even show up for this program. So they will have to be replaced by new cronies. And of course, they're all white. Now guys, I don't believe in forced representation, but for an organization that prides itself in the diversity of its members, I can't believe that we still have no Latinos or Asians or Africans in the governing body. It's just mind-blowing to me. Oh, and another fun fact, Jody DeLele is actually a real estate agent, which is very fitting because this religion went from a book publishing company to a real estate project.
In the real estate industry, both locally in the United States as well as internationally, as being a premier real estate designation. The CCIM stands for Certified Commercial Investment Member. And in order to obtain this designation, one has to complete both a rigorous educational component as well as real-life experience, a portfolio of qualifying experience.
Now we have Jeffrey Jackson, who has also grown a beard, present the talk, Don't Be Surprised by Sudden Changes, which is a review of all the subware updates they've done in the past few years. And he also presents some new light in regards to the Great Tribulation. It goes like this. God will use his magic powers to motivate world leaders to submit themselves to give their power over to the United Nations, who in turn will destroy all false religions. I mean, it's not a big change at all. It's almost identical to the previous teaching, but it is a reminder of how crackpot crazy JW eschatology actually is. It's like hearing your crazy uncle spew out conspiracy theories and dinner.
The second one, Jehovah will suddenly move the nations to give their political power to the United Nations. So what's the takeaway? Don't be complacent. Don't think, oh, this is going to gradually change. No, some things won't gradually change. They will occur suddenly as acts of God. So be ready and don't be surprised by sudden change.
So previously, JWs were supposed to believe that false religion would lose its prestige gradually, like the waters of Babylon the Great would dry up. Jehovah's Witnesses would use the downfall of religion to prove that the end was near, like saying, hey, look, false religion is losing prestige, is losing members, so that means that the end is near. But Jeffrey Jackson is saying now, hey, no, religions are still gonna be very relevant right up to Armageddon. So yeah, none of this is supposed to make sense, but you know that the governing body can't help but keep adding more details to their Armageddon fanfiction. Even if these new details contradict previous dogma, they don't give a shit.
The next part of our program relates to the remarkable response we've seen to Jehovah's mercy expressed to those who had been removed from the congregation. It's a video entitled Blessings of Jehovah's Mercy. Please enjoy.
Oof, trigger warning for this one.
The governing body has prayerfully considered how Jehovah's mercy could be better reflected when dealing with wrongdoers in the congregation. In his love, Jehovah wants sinners to become reconciled to him, if at all possible. He doesn't want anyone to be destroyed, so he appeals to them to repent.
It's heartwarming to hear reports of how Jehovah has blessed congregation elders as they search for those who have been removed from the congregation. For example, in the first 4 months after the 2024 Governing Body Update Number 2, in the South Africa and Philippines branch territories combined, more than 1,200 have come back to the congregation.
Again with Africa and the Philippines, these guys have no other countries to pull from, dude. Also, nice beard, Gary. You look even more gay.
But we can't overlook that each of these dear ones have returned to Jehovah, and Jehovah loves them.
One man came to mind because he's deaf and blind, and he'd been away from Jehovah for 45 years. We prayed with him. We asked him where he was with things, and he said, I want to be back. I want to be back in the family. That's what he said. He's been studying regularly and attending the meetings ever since then, and he was reinstated about a month later. So when I tactiled that announcement for him that night, I said, you're back in the family. You're a Jehovah's Witness again. And he was just overjoyed at that.
So they had disfellowshipped someone who is blind and deaf? What did he even do? That's just so incredibly cruel. Why convert these people if you're just gonna kick them out later?
If you weren't a believer in Jehovah's mercy before, no one will ever be able to say, when everything is over in the system of things, that Jehovah didn't care enough. He didn't make the efforts. He didn't send anybody out. You really can't say that, because Jehovah's making sure that the extra effort was made.
Very touching indeed. But it wasn't just a one-time invitation. In
Wow, just look at this cyborg. He's malfunctioning. He's displaying human emotion. No way Gag is getting emotional over a destructive policy that he and his buddies uphold. The governing body could snap their fingers and eliminate the shunning policy overnight. Just call it New Light, whatever you want. All they have to do is go online and say, hey guys, we actually don't have to shun people anymore, and all Jehovah's Witnesses would gladly obey. But nope. What do they decide to do? They decide to uphold this barbaric practice because it suits them. This religion is so morally debased that a short greeting is classified as a divine act of mercy. So each of Gage's crocodile tears is like a middle finger to the thousands of Jehovah's Witnesses who have been disfellowshipped and shunned over the past few years. What a piece of shit.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
Next we get Pillsbury Doughboy here to talk to us about Jehovah's Mercy. And what better way to celebrate Jehovah's Mercy than by reminding us that the governing body will never get rid of the disfellowshipping policy.
It illustrates, for some people, an ice cream sundae, it's not complete unless it includes chocolate sauce, whipped cream, sprinkles, and what else? The cherry on top, right?
Just look at his huge smile when he starts talking about ice cream. Fat ass.
So then, Jehovah doesn't change, and his standards as to what is right and wrong have not changed. That is why recent adjustments to our view of God's mercy are just that, adjustments to our view or understanding.
The governing body insists that Jehovah never changes, yet they change their beliefs and policies all of the time, which can only mean one thing: they got it wrong in the past. But these guys will never apologize. They never admit they're wrong because they see themselves above reproach.
Well, knowing this, then, we are not embarrassed about adjustments that are made, nor is an apology needed for not getting it exactly right previously.
One person who was removed from the congregation wrote to the governing body, and this is what he said: "The fact that friends can now say a simple, heartfelt greeting blows my mind. I have felt like a walking plague walking into the Kingdom Hall, as many friends avoided eye contact and would clear out of the way. But I get it. That was our understanding up until that time. Jehovah is an amazing, one and only true God. His love is always being manifested, as in this case. To direct you, brothers, to announce this new arrangement, I look forward to receiving a visit from the elders." Well, what a fine expression that was.
No, dude. That letter was depressing as hell, but it reflects the sentiments of all people who have been disfellowshipped. The man felt like a walking plague because he was treated as such. Remember, no one was allowed to acknowledge your existence in the Kingdom Hall. But apparently that behavior was justified because it was the understanding back then? Oh, fuck off, man. Guys, you know by now, I was never disfellowshipped, but I'm very well aware of the psychological torture that comes with the shunning policy. What Kenneth Cook should be doing if he had an ounce of moral integrity would be to fall down on his knees and apologize for all the damage this policy has had on his brothers. But all he does is brush it off and treats this policy change as a huge show of God's mercy.
Things do change over time. But like that repentant one, he gets it. And see, we get it. Jehovah's helping us to understand why these changes come, and we comply, and we love it.
Ugh, the cojones on this dude, I swear.
The next part of our program relates to the cherished hope of living forever. And Brother Let has been experiencing a little bit of back pain, but he is improving. So he just wanted us to relate that before his next talk. But he will discuss the theme, everlasting life. Possible? Boring? Brother Let, you have our attention.
The good news that we preach has many facets, many aspects, like a gorgeous, multifaceted
penis. Damn, Steven, what did they do to you, my boy? You look terrible. I know you're just getting old, but nah, man, my little sheep has seen better days for sure. So now Stephen Lett is going to engage us with some fresh paradise fantasies. Will living forever under the watchful eye of a space tyrant be boring? Of course not. Take it away, Stephen.
But now, here's a question. What evidence do we have that humans originally were designed to live forever? Well, think about the first book of the Bible, the introductory book.
Dog, you just can't quote the book of Genesis and use that as evidence. We might as well quote the Quran to prove that humanity was created out of a clot of congealed blood. Carries just as much weight.
2.5 million gigabytes, the brain? 150, a smartphone.
What's the point in having 2.5 million gigabytes of brain power when you don't use any of them, Stephen?
Why would Jehovah create humans with that strong desire if they're only meant to live 70 or 80 years? It'd actually be cruel, wouldn't it? It'd be kind of like, if you think of this illustration, tying a dog on a 20-foot chain and putting a juicy steak 21 feet from the post where that chain was secured. The dog could see that steak, he could smell that steak, but he couldn't get a bite of it, could he? That would be cruel. And we know Jehovah is definitely not a cruel God. He's a very loving Heavenly Father.
This dude is such a cartoon character, I swear. Hey, Stephen, maybe the reason we are inclined to believe in eternal life is because we have an instinctual fear of death. Fear of death is biologically ingrained in us for the survival of our species. It's not evidence that we were supposed to live forever. Hell, the natural world points us to the obvious conclusion that all life must come to an end eventually. I think to me that makes much more sense.
Well, the foregoing is just a few reasoning points that humans were designed and will live forever. There is nothing, absolutely nothing boring about Jehovah or any of his creation.
Yeah, then you clearly never listened to Kenneth Cook speak.
And scientists even think that this is how a baby zebra recognizes and finds his mother in a big herd. He memorizes her unique striping pattern. Isn't it amazing what evolution can do?
Oh, you can bet I'ma spam the hell out of that soundbite.
If you believe that, I've got a bridge to sell you. Now, another reason, though, that people think, some of them, that living forever would be boring, they think that finally you would learn everything there is to learn, you'd do everything there is to do, and life would cease to be stimulating. It would become drab and uninteresting. Well, again, such reasoning is not sound. First of all, to repeat something that is pleasurable is not boring, is it?
Yeah, we know, Stephen. We know.
I mean, think about eating. Most people eat over 1,000 a year. Does a man who is 40 years old eating over 40,000, is he more bored than the 20-year-old? Think about apples. How many varieties of apples have you personally tasted?
So that's what we're going to be doing in paradise, boys and girls. Eating an infinite variety of apples.
You brothers, imagine living 100 years with a beard. 100 years with just a mustache. 100 years with a goatee. 100 years clean shaven. Then go back and repeat that process with different variations.
Again with the beard, dude.
I just can't do it. I can't take this shit no more, man.
Imagine getting to know and appreciate every human among the billions who will be living on the earth. Getting to know and appreciate every one of them. Learning from their talents, their experiences, coming to regard them as a dear friend. Just one example. Wouldn't you like to spend some time with Noah's wife? I know I'd like to know, what is your name? Right now, all we know is Sister Noah, right? And how were you and your husband able to protect your sons from the evil influence that was around you? What was it like in those years before the flood? What was it like to come out of the ark? You could spend a lot of time with Noah's wife, couldn't you?
Oh, so we're gonna be able to meet our favorite mythological characters in paradise. I want to meet Medusa and Quetzalcoatl and John Cena. The conversations we would have.
Now you think of that, it gives you a headache, doesn't it? Don't miss it. Don't miss it. Reach out and take hold of the real life.
As always, you've given us much to think about, Brother Steve. Many thought-provoking illustrations as well. Thank you so much.
I think that talk made me lose a few brain cells. But thankfully, we are in the home stretch with the final talk by David Splain. But first, they show us this video saying how JWs have adjusted the way they preach using this booklet they released like a year ago. You remember this one? The Cult Manual for Babies?
Because there's no agenda necessarily, you're not trying to leave a specific publication, you feel more relaxed. And oftentimes the conversation is naturally going to go.
We don't have an agenda. We just steer the conversation towards the Bible. This dude can't hear himself speak.
So this lady I was about to pay, and she had these
very colorful
long,
nails.
colorful, decorated nails, and it's like she wanted me to say something about her nails.
She definitely wanted to make a statement with them.
So I said, "Girl, your nails look good," and she was like, "Oh well, my nails have a meaning." And I'm like, "They do?" And she's like, "Yeah, I want to support
domestic violence
awareness month." And I'm like, "Whoa, you really care about people." Yeah, we went to the website.
Yeah, we showed the website.
And the featured article for that month was literally about domestic abuse.
Wow, this is so ironic, coming from a religion that facilitates domestic abuse by prohibiting divorce. You just can't make this up.
I don't want to be that obstacle. Let me listen, let me be patient, let me be humble and wait to see at the right time. But my goal's still the same. We're going to talk about my God, Jehovah. It's just not so fast.
Well, the time has come for the concluding part of our program. And it's a special treat. That's all I'm going to say. Brother David Splain will now give the talk, Give Jehovah Glory.
And just to be clear, I am not the special treat.
Yes, Splain, we know that.
Well, I don't have to tell you that many people today are totally self-absorbed.
Oh, you're one to speak, you snake. You literally feel entitled to control the spiritual life of 8 million people. The definition of hubris.
They spend a lot of time on the internet, a lot of time on social media, talking about themselves, talking about their own accomplishments.
Let me remind you, there is an entire series on JW.org titled Organizational Accomplishments. Give me a break, Splain.
And that's in contrast with Jehovah's people, because Jehovah's people are concerned with giving God glory. And this is in line with what we read at Psalm 96 and verse 8. Now, this is the only text we're going to read during this talk.
I love how he just came out and said it. We're not going to be using the Bible. I mean, it doesn't make much of a difference though. It's not like you use it responsibly anyways. So Splain's talk ends up being not so much of a treat. It's just some boring banter on how we can praise Jehovah by our actions and speech, blah blah blah. He reveals the annual text and then recites a poem which, spoiler alert, turns out to be an original song.
An original song that was composed specially for this annual meeting. And guess what? Guess what? We are going to sing that song at the conclusion of this meeting.
Well, it's been an eventful annual meeting this year.
No, it wasn't, Gage. It was a big nothing burger, actually. The only reason I decided to cover it is because there was some real meme-worthy material among the hubris. Sorry to disappoint you guys, but compared to last year's meeting, this year offered no big changes and no new light. But it was a fascinating look at how this religion is scrambling to find young volunteers. And in the end, we actually get to see one of the new governing body members giving the prayer. Only time will tell how these clowns, wackos, bozos, cult leaders end up influencing the religion. Only time will tell.
And here we are, and we absolutely love you, Jehovah. We do not want to do anything else with our lives, but to somehow...
So guys, let me know what you thought of the annual meeting in the comments below, and let me know the exact moment you lost the cringe challenge, because I love reading your comments. If you would like to support my work, please head on over to Patreon or become a channel member. It's only $1 a month, and you gain early access to all my videos. I'm currently working on a series on Islam. It's gonna be a long series, so I'm taking my time and doing good research, so I hope you look forward to that. As always, guys, thank you so much for your support. Take it easy, guys. Have a wonderful day, and stay away from the tower.
Goodbye, little sheep.